Hello and welcome here to Talk FCB, and welcome back here to the channel, guys, for another video today. And once again we are going to be taking a look ahead at the upcoming January transfer window, and today we are going to be going through some rumours that have been breaking in the Spanish papers today, particularly to do with Arthur coming in from Gremio. Could we perhaps be making some ground in that deal? And we're also going to be taking a very close look at player sales. What players could be leaving the club in January, and exactly where could they be heading? So all of that in today's video and more as we take an even closer look at the transfer window. So firstly, guys, just to say that I do have a lot of videos planned coming up, but I want to do them once I return home from holiday. Right now I am still on holiday in Spain, and I want to wait till I get back to do videos on the likes of Ter Stegen, Jordi Alba and Ernesto Valverde. I've got a mid-season review coming up for you guys as well, but I just want to make sure that I got the very best sound quality when I'm at home. Right now the sound is okay, but I feel like it could be a lot better, and it is usually when I'm at home, when I'm in my usual setup. So I'm just waiting to do those videos until I get home, but until then we are still going to be going through the news, the transfers and everything else going on, just to keep you guys updated. And on that exact note, we are going to start here with Arthur coming in from Gremio, like I just said. And this morning on the cover of Sport was a big headline with Arthur on it. There was all about Arthur and a big story to go with it. And when I first saw this, I thought, good, we've got some positive news on Arthur. Maybe Sport are going to come out now with some exclusive information. That's not really what they did. They made a big deal of it. They made a big article, a big headline. They basically said that Barcelona are making good progress in their pursuit of Arthur. Apparently they've been in contact with the player himself, which we kind of knew about. Robert Fernandes, of course, earlier on this month flew out to Brazil. He scouted Arthur personally, then met up with him. There was the photo in the shirt. So we kind of knew that negotiations with the player had taken place. And it basically says in the Sport reports that Barcelona desperately want to complete a deal in the January transfer window. Apparently the board have given the transfer the go-ahead, and Ernesto Valverde agrees with the transfer as well. Apparently, according to Sport, they really do not want to miss out on him, just like what happened with Gabriel Jesus. Obviously he's somebody that we did look into, that we did target. We didn't go for him, we didn't do it in time, and he ended up going to Manchester City, where he's done very well so far under Pep Guardiola. It also went on in that article to say that Arthur was not interested in any other interest in him from other clubs, particularly Real Madrid, who have apparently shown an interest, but Arthur only wants to join Barcelona, and that's really, really important. But I have to say, really, that overall Sport didn't really tell us a great deal about Arthur, about possible negotiations. They didn't say anything about us talking directly with Gremio to discuss a transfer fee, to discuss a possible negotiations with a release clause. One thing that I do want to bring you, though, a Brazilian report, completely separate to the report of Sport, Esporte Interativo, who are a Brazilian news outlet. They basically came out earlier on today, and they came out with some very concrete news and some very positive news perhaps. They said that Barça representatives will travel to Brazil during the first week of 2018, and they will speak directly and negotiate with Gremio over Arthur. So that's the first sort of news that we've heard that's said about Arthur and Gremio and Barcelona speaking with the club. Right now, all we've heard from Sport, all we've heard from the Spanish reports, is basically that we've spoken with the player. Nothing about negotiating with the club. Right now, Arthur's release clause stands at 50 million euros, and I feel like the club do want to talk about that and potentially try to lower the fee somehow. Whether or not they'll be able to do that, we're going to have to wait and see, but we are going to need to talk with Gremio, we are going to need to negotiate, and all that needs to happen in a very short space of time. In the first week of January, it's going to be really interesting to see whether MD, whether Sport get on with this story that Barca have a representative in Brazil, and we're going to have to wait and see if that is true. What is good, though, is that we are talking about Arthur, a very promising controlling midfield player, somebody who could come into our squad for the rest of the year and make a difference. That's really important, and hopefully we're making all the right steps in what could be potentially a very, very important transfer for us. Also in Sport today, they did talk extensively about player sales, and particularly 4 different players that Barcelona want to offload in the January transfer window. Those players were as follows: Javier Mascherano, Arda Turan, Gerard Deulofeu and Aleix Vidal. Sport outlined those 4 players as the players that Barcelona desperately wanted to sell in the upcoming upcoming transfer window. And actually, for all four of them, there have been separate reports for those guys in the relative Spanish media about potential moves away. Now, we all know about Mascherano. He's going to be going to China. That's all been agreed. A transfer fee around 10 million euros potentially is what we're going to be getting for him. But apparently, he will only leave the club once we sign a suitable replacement. Once we've signed somebody, potentially somebody like Yerry Mina, once we bring somebody in, then we'll allow Mascherano to go. Everything's been agreed and he will then leave the club with our very best wishes. When it comes to Arda Turan though, there have been some very interesting developments. I spoke earlier on this week about Besiktas's interest in signing Arda Turan. That was what was reported in the Turkish media. And earlier on yesterday, Fikret Orman, who is actually the Besiktas president, came out and spoke extensively about Arda Turan. He said the exact following words: "We like Arda Turan as a player and we would like to see somebody like him join Besiktas. But unfortunately we have many players right now in the same position that he plays in, and for that reason we have not made a move as of yet." So Besiktas deny making a move for Arda. They don't really deny wanting him, but they do say that right now they have a number of players like him in their squad, and maybe when they're moved out they could possibly bring it in. Maybe they're trying to lower the fee, lower the wages. I don't really know, but right now Besiktas not as close to a deal as Turkish media earlier on this week made it out to be. There's also been some developments on Deulofeu. In yesterday's news roundup video, obviously I said there's been offers for Vidal, but nothing yet for Deulofeu. But I did feel like Valverde didn't really count on Deulofeu, and he was the more likely one to leave the club. And today, TV3, who are a very reliable news outlet in Spain, they have come out and actually said that Deulofeu has now been given exactly the same message as Arda Turan was in the summer. Apparently now Deulofeu has been told by Ernesto Valverde that he does not lie in his plans for the remainder of the season. Deulofeu apparently not wanted now by Valverde in his plans. Deulofeu last played in the Copa del Rey, which is on the 29th of November. Deulofeu since then has been left out a number of squads, and he's also had an injury in that time, but he was back in time for the Real Madrid game, but he was not called up to the squad by Ernesto Valverde. And right now it does seem like he could well be heading out of the club in the January transfer window. And finally, Aleix Vidal. Now yesterday we spoke about Atletico Madrid. Apparently they had joined the race to sign Vidal in January. Sevilla and Valencia already interested. Now local media in Sevilla believe that a deal will be done, or is very close to being done, for around 10 million euros with Barcelona, which would be 8 million euros less than we paid for him. And according to this report, they do not believe that Atletico Madrid will be a threat in this particular deal, simply because the relationship between Barcelona and Atletico Madrid is very strained right now. Obviously Atletico Madrid making that complaint to FIFA over our pursuit of Griezmann, and they believe that for that reason we will not be looking to deal with Atletico over Vidal, which could leave the path clear for Sevilla to re-sign him. However, Corriere dello Sport, a report in Italy, they came out this morning, and another club could perhaps be interested in signing Aleix Vidal. A number of clubs now interested in signing him, and according to that report, Roma have also joined the race, which does, in some ways, make perfect sense. Their sporting director is none other than Monchi, the man who actually signed Aleix Vidal for Sevilla from Almeria a few years ago for absolutely nothing, and now he wants to sign him for Roma. Now he's the sporting director there. So that one does make a bit of sense. I can see that that would be true. And what we want to know now, of course, is whether Aleix Vidal will leave the club and whether Ernesto Valverde will count on him for the rest of the season. As of late, he's definitely been playing more than Deulofeu, but whether or not we'll sell him remains to be seen. When Dembele comes back, even of course when Rafinha comes back, he can play in the wider areas, which could see the playing time for Deulofeu and Vidal very much restricted. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in January, who stays, who goes, how much money we can get in for these players, and then most importantly, how we will invest these transfer fees into potential incoming players like Arthur, maybe Yerry Mina, maybe some other players as well. So overall, guys, in terms of today's news, there's a big report on Arthur in Sport. Sport very much hopeful of signing him in January. Very interesting to see how that one develops. There's not an awful lot more in terms of incomings. It's very quiet right now on Antoine Griezmann after that complaint made by Atletico. There's not been much news at all on that front. Nothing really on Coutinho today either. That's gone a bit quiet as well. The most coverage today in terms of Barcelona transfer news has been relating to player sales, which I think is important as well. Obviously we want to bring players in, but we also need to sell some players. We need to free up some money to obviously spend on the players coming in, but it's also important to look at the wages. We need to save on our wage bill. Players like Arda Turan are earning a lot of money. Mascherano as well is on high wages. If we can free up some money in our wage budget, it will help us enormously when we're trying to attract players and bring players in, not only in January, but also next summer as well. well. So it's going to be interesting to see how things unfold in the weeks to come and the January transfer window as a whole. But as always, guys, with these kind of videos, please do let me know your thoughts down below. I will have some polls coming up later on with regard to this video, like for instance, who would you rather sell, Deulofeu or Aleix Vidal? Please let me know all your thoughts down below. What do you think of the rumours about Arthur? Do you see him ending up signing for Barça in January? Do you think that we should be pursuing a player like him? And in terms of player sales as well, do you want to see the likes of Arda Turan, Mascherano, Deulofeu, Vidal? Do you think we should be looking to get rid of all of those players and maybe only bring a few of them in? Do you think our squad is going to be strong enough going into the latter stages of the season? Please do let me know all your thoughts down below, guys. I'm always interested to hear your opinions, and thank you as always for your fantastic feedback. And like I said earlier, I will see you very, very soon indeed with a lot more videos. I've got a lot planned, guys, and a lot coming up for you in the coming days and the coming weeks. I will see you very shortly, but until then, as always, Vesca el Barça! 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 Barça!